In the last decade or so, we've seen video game remasters become more and more prevalent in the gaming industry. The one that really started it all was the God of War collection back in 2009. That was on the PlayStation 3 and it bundled God of War 1 and 2 in high definition, and it included the demo for God of War 3, which at that point obviously wasn't released yet. That collection performed extremely well commercially, and slowly but surely you saw more and more developers and publishers bringing out collections of iconic franchises. You had the Prince of Persia trilogy, the Splinter Cell collection, even a Dragon Ball Z Budokai collection, and those were trickling in towards the end of last generation, and then remasters really saw a boom this generation, and just about every developer and publisher is bringing them out. Square Enix brought out the Final Fantasy X and X-2 remasters and the Tomb Raider remaster. Ubisoft came out with the Assassin's Creed Ezio trilogy, Bandai Namco remastered Dark Souls 2, Microsoft brought out the Halo Master Chief collection, Gearbox with Borderlands the Handsome collection, and Sony still puts out remasters regularly with The Last of Us, Uncharted Nathan Drake collection, and Gravity Rush Remastered, just to name a few. And I can go on and on and on. You get the idea. Just about every publisher, if possible, they're bringing out remasters. The only one surprisingly absent is EA, which at some point they better bring out a Mass Effect trilogy because I'm dying to play those again. Remasters have become so prevalent in gaming to the point of some gamers having disdain for them. Some might say there are too many remasters, that remasters are just the publisher's cheap way of cash grabbing, and instead of putting the focus on brand new games, they put all their attention on old games. And that's just completely the wrong way to look at remasters, and let me explain why. First of all, no one is forcing you to buy remasters. Developers put out remasters, they sell well, so of course they're gonna keep the practice going. No one is putting a gun to your head when you're at GameStop and says, drop that copy of Titanfall 2 in your hand and go pick up the Uncharted trilogy and buy that instead. No, that's not happening at all. What games gamers buy are premeditated decisions, and guess what? People buy remasters to a degree where it justifies its development cost. At the end of the day, gaming, like any other industry, is a business, and what's the goal of a business? To make the most money possible. And when remasters sell the way that they do, you can't fault publishers for making the obvious business decision in making more of them. Second of all, there is a gigantic misconception when it comes to remasters that makes many come off absolutely foolish. The notion of remasters are taking away from the production of brand new games is absolutely silly, point blank. It's so ridiculous. In fact, remasters actually allow for the opposite of that to happen. Do you think when Sony sits down with Naughty Dog and they decide, okay, we're greenlighting an Uncharted trilogy for the PlayStation 4, does that mean that Naughty Dog suddenly shuts down production of every other project that they are working on and puts all of their manpower working on this remaster? No, not at all. In actuality, what happens is either you allocate a small team to work on that remaster, a team that is a very, very small percentage of the entire studio, or sometimes you'll even bring in an outside studio altogether to work on that remaster. That's actually what happened with the Uncharted Nathan Drake collection. Naughty Dog wasn't the ones doing the porting for those games. It was an outside studio, Blue Point Games, and those were the guys that also did the Gravity Rush remaster. So Uncharted and Gravity Rush being remastered created jobs for the people at Blue Point Games. If Sony never decided to do those remasters, Blue Point wouldn't have had something to work on. Sure, members of that studio may have ended up elsewhere, but understand the fact that these remasters were directly responsible for jobs being created in the industry. Not only that, what does releasing remasters do? It heightens profit margins. It's obvious that remasters don't require the manpower that a brand new game requires. That much is blatant. So the small amount of resources that you put into developing a remaster brings much more back, and this allows for more resources to eventually be allocated to new and ambitious projects. It's a cycle that is literally a plus in every area. There are no minuses here, because even if a remaster performs poorly in sales, it's not going to be absolutely detrimental to a studio because not that many resources were put behind it. And in the current climate of gaming, where creating these ambitious projects and getting them even off the floor is a huge commitment, the fact we have something to offset production costs even a little bit should be seen as a huge positive. And finally, for the most part, the remasters we've been seeing have been very good. It's not like every single remaster has been this lazy attempt at cash grabbing. The Uncharted trilogy was awesome, the BioShock collection was great, Borderlands the Handsome collection, and an insane amount of content for your money. Assassin's Creed Ezio collection, 3 great open world games on one disc, hell yeah. Sure, we've had some downers like the prototype games, but the majority of them have been great. And I have to reiterate the fact that no one is forcing you to buy them. Let the people that want them buy them. And guess what? It doesn't affect you at all. It's not making game releases any slower, any less consistent. As I mentioned, it's only helping the industry as a whole. And in reality, this is something very easy to grasp, which confuses me as to why so many have this blind hatred for remasters, because it's just built upon several misconceptions. Let me know what you guys think. Do you agree with me, disagree with me, and have a counterpoint? What have been your favorite remasters so far? Comment your thoughts down below. As always, thank you for watching, and goodbye.